Alright, here we have it guys, the Galaxy M55 and the Galaxy M15. And I'm pretty amazed how Samsung has managed to make even these look like their upper mid-range smartphones or even like their flagships and yet keep the price pretty low. Now obviously there are things that they've had to cut back on to make sure that these phones come at affordable price points that they come in. But cutbacks don't mean that they are bad. In fact, the M55 this time has quite a few upgrades that no M series phone has ever seen. For example, a Snapdragon chip, up to 12 gigs of RAM and a 45-watt fast charging support. I mean, honestly speaking, a lot of this stuff is actually happening for the first time in an M series phone, so let's talk about this. If you look at the M55, it's actually very similar to how flagships look with a similar 3-camera housing system. And to bring the price down, they've used plastic. But then they've given this, matte finish frosted look, so it doesn't look cheap. I mean, I think it looks really good and it's got a very good in-hand feel as well. And it doesn't look like the kind of bag that would attract any fingerprint or dust, given just the way it's done, this whole frosty matte finish. And while the M series phones in the past have been known to be slightly bulky, this one actually feels a lot slimmer and it's really light. Also, there's a slight curve on the back panel, so as you hold it in the palm, it sits really well and it gives you a nice comfortable grip. I mean, I would go to the extent of saying that you don't even need a protective case with this phone. I mean, it's got a good in-hand feel. It's not going to get smudged easily with fingerprint or sweat. It's got, plastic, so it's not going to break easy and you can enjoy that sleek design without the case. Also, the frame, which is again plastic, but it too has a smooth metallic finish and so it looks really good. And I like that they have slightly thicker buttons, which makes it very easy to press them usability wise. A lot of phones in this price segment by other brands, they tend to have curved displays and those displays tend to have very thin buttons and they are a little weird to click. Now, I've got this light green color which reflects quite a lot of light at different angles, so this is something you'll either get really amazed by or you'll hate it. But you've got other options which might be more neutral for you. The bezels also are quite slim. In fact, these are a lot better than what I'm generally used to seeing in M series smartphones, so I'm pretty glad that Samsung's actually reducing these. Oh, and it's got a hybrid SIM tray, so either 2 SIM cards in here or 1 SIM card and the option to expand storage by 1 TB. Now, it's got Samsung's usual Super AMOLED Plus display and as always, it looks good. It's nice and colorful, no doubt. And I've said this before and I'm saying it again, that there's just something about Samsung's AMOLED displays that's just different from AMOLED displays on other phones. I mean, the contrast, the punch, the clarity, even in the M series phones, it's just somehow a notch above. And it's the kind of difference you only know if you place both of them side by side and then you compare. For example, consider the brightness. So the M55 has 1000 nits of peak brightness. Now, that's not the highest in the segment, but then it's got vision booster tech. The outdoor visibility is just so good. There's really no major issue in readability outdoors or even watching content. However, if the video scenes are dark, then maybe a bit of an issue, but otherwise no problem at all. But what's really worth noticing this time is that Samsung has opted to provide a Snapdragon chip and up to 12 gigs of RAM on the M55. It's the first time on any M series phone that you'll see a combination like this. Although I admit that the chip is 2 generations old, but then if you look at the performance, I think it's pretty decent. Apps, they launch fast, it's quick and swift to switch between them, and there's no really sign of lag. You could easily play the most demanding of games in optimized modes for longer durations without any hiccups. I mean, sure, the phone gets a little warm after 30 minutes of gameplay, but nothing unpleasant. The response to touch is also quite good, so games that require a quick response time shouldn't be a problem. But more than anything, using a chip that's nearly 2 years old, I believe is Samsung's way of just balancing their cost, because they tend to prioritize more on features and functionalities and security and things like OS upgrades. So it's just been their approach to smartphones in this price segment. For example, if you look at the upgrade cycle, Samsung promises 4 generations of OS upgrades, while all the other phones in this segment will give you nothing more than 3 years. And then no other phone in this price segment has features like Samsung Wallet and things like Tap to Pay. And then to ensure that everything is super secure, Samsung gives you Samsung Knox Vault even in the M series to ensure your phone is protected against hardware and software attacks. So, credentials, payments and other sensitive data, it's never exposed. And I think it's okay if you still prefer more performance over, let's say, more years of upgrade or over more security or over more functionalities like Samsung Wallet. But this phone, I think, is geared more towards conveniences and not so much towards just raw performance. Now, the M55 is running Android 14 and it comes loaded with One UI 6.1 features. Things like Image Clipper that allows you to just long press and clip an object out of a picture and paste it anywhere. Or things like Object Eraser where you can pretty much erase any object in your picture that you don't want. Then there's Voice Focus option that lets you speak to someone over a call more easily despite having a lot of noise around you. And then there's also Secure Folder where you can privately store your sensitive files, photos, videos, and even run very secure versions of your app that only you can unlock with your fingerprint. But hey, if you do want to know more about how Secure Folder works, I've actually done a full video. I'll leave it here in the card so you can watch that next. But let's talk more about One UI 6.1 on this. So you get all the customization options that came with the newest One UI. That includes the lock screen customization settings with more styles, more fonts, more colors, and even the ability to add widgets to the lock screen itself. And like always, you've got a wide variety of wallpapers to choose from. There's like a preset of different styles available and even some wallpaper services that you could opt for. And there are also some preloaded apps that you get with the phone. Not too many though, but even the ones that you have can be easily uninstalled if you want to. You also get features like one-hand operation, so you can use this phone with just one hand easily despite its size. And there's also Edge panel that gives you access to, various apps and shortcuts and tasks on your phone, and all of this is customizable in settings. Now, the other big upgrade is their camera setup. So you will now get a 50 megapixel primary camera with OIS and nightography features, along with an 8 megapixel ultra-wide and 2 megapixel macro. And more importantly, a 50 megapixel front-facing camera. But we tend to believe more in photo samples, so let's look at that. Alright, so here are samples shot using the primary camera, guys, and for the most part, they're actually quite good. I mean, if you see, they aren't too saturated, which earlier used to be an issue, but now they seem a lot more natural, and even the sharpening seems under control. But yes, sometimes, if the sun is too harsh, you see a bit of overexposed portions in your photo. And sometimes the HDR processing may also seem to be slightly aggressive, not all the times though. I was really happy with the photos I took indoors. Again, the colors look really good and there's no loss in detail despite slightly low light as compared to how bright it was outside. But I was surprised the most when it came to low light pictures. At this price, with nightography features and big pixel technology, the M55 cameras, they can take in a lot more light to produce bright but noise-free pictures even in tough situations. And it takes a while to click your pictures as it gathers more light, but then the output is quite good as you can see. Portrait photos are just fine. I mean, it takes a little bit of time to get the focus lock, but once it does, these are how the pictures came out. And finally, here are some selfies that I took using the 50 megapixel front-facing camera. And I'd say these are decent, but even in low light situations, again, surprising results. I mean, these are actually great for the kind of lighting I was in, but if it gets too dark, then the pictures do get a little soft and not as sharp. But again, that's expected at this price point. Now, the last big upgrade has to do with the battery and the charging, actually more to do with the charging. So you get the same 5000 mAh battery capacity. However, this time, M55 supports a 45 watt charging speed that can charge your M55 from 0 to 50 in under 25 minutes. And this is quite a step forward because up until now, Samsung has given 45 watts of charging speeds only to ultra variants of its flagship series. But to see it in M series, a mid-range segment smartphone from Samsung, and that's supporting higher charging speeds, I think it's very, very promising. And so I think it's a very big moment to see Samsung embracing 45 watt charging speeds. And it makes me very hopeful that I would see this in more and more phones from Samsung. Now, alongside the Galaxy M55, Samsung has also launched the Galaxy M15, which is a more affordable M series smartphone with slightly dialed down specs. It's got a slightly smaller 6.5-inch screen, but it still has a Super AMOLED display with a 90Hz refresh rate, which is very rare to see in this price segment. It's also got a headphone jack, again, a rare functionality these days. And to make things even better, it comes with a gigantic 6000 mAh battery. And just like the M55, this also gives you 4 generations of OS upgrades and 5 years of security updates. No other smartphone under 15,000 gives you that. Other than that, it has a regular 50 megapixel primary camera, 5 megapixel ultra-wide, 2 megapixel macro, and a 13 megapixel front-facing camera. It's powered by MediaTek 6100 Plus, it's got 128 gigs of internal storage, and 2 RAM options, 4GB and 6GB. Finally, let's talk prices. You can get the Galaxy M55 for a net effective price starting at 24,999 and the M15 at 12,299. And in fact, you can get a 25 watt charger worth 1699 for free if you bought the M15, which I think is pretty sweet. Anyway, that's it guys about the Galaxy M55 and the M15. If you guys still have any questions, concerns, doubts, let me know in the comment section. I'll definitely help you out. And if you guys did enjoy watching the video, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification icon and mark all. It really helps the channel grow. I'll see you guys in the next one.